My name is Manny,
And my name is Brandon.
and together we are the.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant. Oh,
That
no?
works too.
Okay.
But yeah, that works as well. But together we are
The
the
Nerdlot.
Nerdlot. All right, welcome everybody to another installment of the Nerdlot. Today's date is who
April
gives a shit.
14th.
We
April
have
14th.
no idea what day it is anymore, man. It's like every day is Monday now, right? It totally seems that way. But yeah, it is April 14th, and this is like the 180th day of quarantine now. And, it feels like we are completely isolated from everybody. And the only way that we talk to one another is, of course, via Zoom now or text, whatever works.
Telepathy.
But I'd rather we do Zoom because that is the only way that I get to see your beautiful faces, gentlemen.
That is
And
true.
speaking of beautiful faces, joining us once again is the very talented and well-endowed, from what I hear, Alex Lomeli from Tacoma, California. Thanks for joining us again.
I see you've been visiting the same restrooms I do.
I have, man. Yeah. Over there, like right off our Lido, right?
You got to stop writing on the walls, boys. You're in your late 30s now.
Well, we only look for the holes in the wall. But anyway, listen, Lomeli, thanks again for joining us, man. I really appreciate it. We had a lot of fun with you on the last episode, so we thought we'd bring you along this time
Super
around,
fun.
especially since we agreed that today we are going to be talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, released 30 years ago, March, right? Back in 1990.
March
Now,
30th, actually.
March 30th, right? And, that movie has a lot of history. It has a huge fan base and a lot of interpretations, a lot of iterations of like variations of those that basically that property and all that, all the way starting from the days of comic books, but from Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, all the way to like what we have now with the terrible Michael Bay movies. But we're not going to talk about everything in between. I mean, everything there. We're going to talk about the movie specifically. All right, go ahead. Take it away, Brandon.
I actually wanted to mention there's a couple of nerdy topics in the land of the nerds that have happened news-wise that are interesting to me. Number one is everybody's favorite guy from The Office. I feel like most people's favorite. John Krasinski is in talks with Marvel to, I think, play someone from the Fantastic Four, which I think is perfect. I would really like him to join the Marvel universe. I think his comedy is great. I think he'd fit right in with some of the people that have already been cast there. So hoping that works. I think there's a rumor that him and his wife are going to be Johnny and Sue Storm.
Now, I will say that he would make a great Mr. Fantastic. Now, there's already been some fan art there, Photoshop and everything with giving him like, the great, the white temples there. Yep. And it works. I think it works really well. And, he definitely has that ruggedness to him and that sense of he can be like really manly man, but at the same time, very like, PhD about him, you know what I mean? Like I think John Krasinski has that. He has range, man.
He
started off as Jim in The Office, doing those goofy ass faces, like right, and then all the way leading up to like a lot more dramatic roles, like in 13 Hours, the story of Benghazi, and most recently he did what is it, The Quiet Place?
And he did 2 seasons of Jack Ryan, and he was awesome in Jack
Ryan.
And
2 seasons of Jack Ryan. Now, I will say, unfortunately, Jack Ryan season 2 wasn't as great, but season 1 is pretty solid, man. So if you guys haven't had a chance to do that, check it out. It's available now to stream on Prime Video.
He was good, though, in season 2. Season 2 wasn't his fault that it wasn't good. He was pretty good.
No. All the characters. I really enjoyed all the characters, and I love the dynamic between him and what's-his-face. Originally played by James Earl Jones in the movies, right? But anyway, John Krasinski there. Lomeli, what do you think?
Well, I mean, you would think that would be the pretty good fit, though, Mr. Fantastic. I mean, just the lankiness kind of just fits right in.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to him playing like a sarcastic role again. Like I feel like I miss that, especially with I watch The Office a lot. And he's so sarcastic in that role, and his no roles. He's been more serious, which is fine, but I think we can get a little bit more of his personality in this character.
That tends to happen though, right? When you have a almost not typecast, but you think you're going to get stuck as a certain type of character, and then you always see that the next thing you do is kind of completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, John Krasinski definitely is not typecasted. I think like I said, he has range, and pretty much anything that he gets thrown in, I feel pretty confident about, whether he's in front or behind the camera.
Agreed. And there's one more thing I wanted to bring up, not about this movie, but in general, if you're a gamer, especially if you play PS4 like I do and Alex does, they are releasing from tomorrow until May 5th 2 games for free. The Uncharted series, the prequels, not the prequels, the series 1, 2, 3. Those originally came out on PS3. They remastered them and they put it together in a single game where you can play all 3. That is free, and also a game called Journey. I've never played Journey, don't know it, but Uncharted, can't miss. If you've never played it before, you will be taken away into this pretty fun world. So I can't recommend it enough. It's such a fantastic game.
Yeah, I'm not much of a gamer. I think I kind of lost track of all the new stuff, especially after my PS3 decided to take a dump. It just doesn't boot anymore, right? And even before that, I think the main thing that I was using it for was to watch my Blu-rays, because it was around the time that my daughter was born. She's gonna be 7 this year, and it was around that time that I think that I stopped playing. I think the last thing I played was like Arkham Asylum and some Need for Speed or something like that, and like
Arkham
the Ghostbusters
Asylum.
video. Yeah, great games, by the way.
But did you need it? That speed?
The Need for Speed, which by the way is another movie that's been postponed, a sequel to Top Gun. But I wanted to show you guys something, and it's good that we're doing this whole Zoom thing now, because originally when we started the Nerdlot, we started off as strictly just audio, right? But since we started
about
Zoom,
like Disney,
yeah. Yeah, right. And we'll get back to that. We totally will. It's just different circumstances. But this using Zoom has given us the opportunity to really pump these episodes out into YouTube as well. So if you're listening to the audio right now, check out the Nerdlot on YouTube as well, and you'll be able to see us and see what we look like, unfortunately. But speaking of showing you guys something and gaming, like I may be behind the times on as far as knowing what PS4s are or Gamecast or
that Donkey Kong.
Yeah, man, Donkey Kong, and what do we still do? Tekken. But
anyway, Star Fox 64.
But I just wanted to show you guys something really quick that I kind of acquired just yesterday, and I started playing. And I have it back there for a reason.
Show us Ball in the Cup or something. Oh, there it is.
Check this out. You see it?
Nice, man.
That's solid, man.
Yeah, it is the Sega Genesis flashback.
Ooh, look at that. It has that sleek. It's not the original controller. It has that small.
No. It's not the original controller. I think the controllers are modeled more after. Do you remember Sega Saturn? Right, remember that shit? But anyway, these are all the games that it comes with it. It has
where's the perfect controller? Nobody does a controller like the old game.
I was just thinking about that earlier today. It's hard to say which controllers are the best ones. But
Nintendo 64 was a weird.
I will say that the controllers.
Dreamcast.
Yes, the controllers were to me were the worst. Were the Dreamcast, because you were just like holding a giant box, right, with buttons. And then the other one that I never really could get used to is Nintendo 64.
This one's pretty good.
Yeah, the PlayStation Remote, it was pretty easy going and all that. But I think for me, the worst ones were Nintendo 64 and Dreamcast.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because you had like the middle joystick, and you're always playing.
You had like a controller, and then you had that dick just kind of like hanging out in the middle, right? So
like the Randy
tripod.
Yeah, it was like a little tripod thing. It was like a random little thing. Like, what are you supposed to do with this? Tickle your belly button with it?
Like that car Mr. Garrison created in South Park.
Oh, with the yeah, I see. I mean, we don't want to get too graphic now.
So there is something that actually just came out this past weekend for Saturday Night Live, and it was the SNL middle-aged skit. Did you guys see it?
I did last night.
What'd you think?
It was. I think I see some of the jokes were hit or miss. I think and I think to me it wasn't as funny anymore because it was more like reality now, because I feel like we are quickly approaching the age where a lot of the stuff that the middle-aged Ninja Turtles were complaining about, we're starting to relate to, and we're just like, that shit's not funny, man. That's a real issue, right?
Too hit home, too
Yeah.
little.
So, but then I realized, I'm like, oh my god, so it's hit or miss. So you watched it? What did you think?
Yeah, the best thing was, or the one that really got me chuckling was when he was hitting up. I think it was Donatello. He was hitting Donatello for money again.
Yeah,
And he says like, I just gotta stop betting on
the ponies or something.
No, I gotta stop betting on golf. I don't even watch it.
Yeah, something like that.
Funny.
So there's like I said, some of the stuff was pretty cool. Some of the stuff was pretty cool, and the woman in that was April, right? That was supposed to be April.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was supposed. They didn't never said, but it looked like April O'Neil, and they made it seem like she actually ended up marrying Michelangelo, but they were like in the middle of like somewhat like possibly being in a divorce now. But yeah, so it was all right. Was it necessary? Probably not. But I thought it was a perfect time, considering that we're going to do the episode today on it.
Right.
And it also makes you realize how long ago this whole franchise started, right? So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles started off as comic books created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird in the 80s. And slowly it kind of morphed into a toy line, and then it became an animated series. Now, I'm a little bit older than you fellas. And so I was about 8 years old when that launched, the animated series launched. And I remember, I think it was like KCOP or something like that. It was in Channel 13.
I think it was CBS too.
CBS or something. I don't know.
It was like Channel 2. Yeah, I can't remember because cartoons have changed so many different channels back in the day.
So I would remember I would watch it, and then I would watch this thing religiously. It was like between that and Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters.
Well, hell
right?
Yeah, dude! I had the Ghostbusters, just sort of quick tangent. I had the Ghostbusters house. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, the Ninja Turtles I watched a lot on TV.
Now, so you guys got, but do you guys remember actually watching the series like when it first kind of started, like in 89?
87 it came out.
87? Was it 87?
It was 87. Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, look, I don't have many memories of the childhood. Look, and I don't, maybe I blocked it out
most likely,
for
most
trauma.
Of us remember it just from like reruns.
Really. Oh, exactly. That's really what it is. I mean, I don't remember it in 87 or 80, 88 even, but I definitely know that I watched it. It was a huge influence on my life, including this movie when it came out in 1990.
Yeah, right. And by the time that I remember, I still remember to this day vividly. I was at home, and at the time my mom was working from home, right? And
prepping for COVID, huh?
Yeah, right. She was working from home, and then I remember it was an ad. I was watching these, forget what cartoons I was watching, and then like at one point there was like a promo, and one thing I remember the commercial, it was like enter now for your chance to win tickets to the premiere of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's a movie? And I remember running to my mom and like, mom, I want to watch the movie. And she's like, don't bother me, I'm working or something. But so I still remember to this day finding out that that's how there was going to be a movie.
I don't remember how I found out, but I definitely know that I needed to watch it. Oh, all right. Look, one thing we can do right now is, you saw it recently, right, Alex? Well, Manny has to go take care of his kid. What did you think when you rewatched it? We'll get into the actual movie in a second when Manny comes back. But what did you think just watching it? Like, did it hold up?
It's crazy how, it just fills those holes in them, because you think you remember it. You think you remember it pretty vividly, and then like you kind of remember certain scenes, maybe a certain fight scene, or definitely you kind of remember Casey Jones. You remember his whole get up and the whole like stringy hair kind of thing, and that bag he had. Like you get all these glimpses, and then you see it again, and you're sitting there and you're like just thinking, wow, this is all poorly made. And
to be honest, I felt it was like okay, and like
sorry about that, guys. My dog.
It's funny how it just, because it's made Yeah, it was 1990s, but it still has that kind of 80s vibe of movies
Well,
where like it
dude,
has to be dark. Everything has to be kind of like
yeah,
it has to come from a dark place. You have to be
Now,
upset. Yeah.
now that's one thing that I actually added to my notes about like the darkness of the movie,
Hmm.
is that even then, I remember the animated show was completely a kid show, right? And it was goofy and
Hmm.
colorful and all that, and it's very sci-fi.
Skateboards and pizza.
It felt more sci-fi. And then I remember my mom, she actually took me to watch this in theaters when it opened up, opening weekend. I remember having to be in line for like 2 hours for the next showtime. And so we went and watching the movie, and I just remember thinking, even as a kid, I'm like, wow, this is doesn't feel the same as the cartoon that we're used to, right?
Yeah, it was
I'm
super
I'm
like
I'm
heavy stuff. It's like
yeah,
orphan.
yeah,
It's not even orphan.
I'm expecting to see like Krang and Rocksteady, Bebop, and all that sort of stuff. And so anyway, it was very more like grounded in reality and very dark. And I remember watching it later on, years later, when I was much older, and since then I've been thinking about how this movie is very uneven in terms of tone,
Yeah,
because it does have that. It almost has like that, like if Christopher Nolan had done the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? But then like they still wanted to like tack in that humor and that lightness of the cartoon, like the dialogue, like the way that like the turtles would talk to each other, it didn't
yeah.
match the tone of the movie.
They put it together
Um,
like a mixtape. It's like, all right, we put a lot of like slow ballads. We gotta pump it up.
yeah, and I
Get some
can tell.
slapstick
I mean,
going.
and then years later, you read about why characters were left out and all that, and obviously this movie at the time was considered an independent film, right? So these guys had to like raise all this money, even though they already had successful toys and and an animated show. People at that time were still like, nobody wants to see this on the big screen, right? So they had a very limited budget, and so that's why they couldn't do like big costumes like Rocksteady and Bebop and Krang and like all sorts of stuff, right? So they had to like be like a lot more grounded and kind of like in our world.
but I feel they did a pretty decent job with what
Oh
they
yeah, yeah.
with what they did with the Foot
Oh
Clan,
yeah,
the
yeah.
Shredder. I mean, those are the guys people cared about. Like the main villains that all like the kids probably knew Krang, but the parents knew Shredder. I mean, that's all. Like,
Yeah.
they needed one villain.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like don't get
Okay,
me
yeah.
wrong. It is a, to me, like even watching it as older now, it is still a solid movie, right? It's still very solid. But I remember how like the tone
It's
was,
super.
it
It's
was
adult themed, really.
yeah,
When you
and
get
it was almost like, is this really for children? Now, keep in mind that when Eastman and Laird first released the comic books, they weren't really kids' comic books. They were pretty violent, right? So
Well,
that's what
yes.
they're. So they were kind of going more towards that now, and then but then parents were like, no, they started complaining it's like super violent and all that, which is why then you'll watch the first one and then immediately watch the second, and the tone of it is very like night and day, right? It's more cartoonish.
campy,
It's
yeah.
like the colors are brighter. The even the villains are campier. And one thing that
Well,
you will notice
it's
compared to like,
ooze. The
yeah,
secret of the ooze.
you one thing you then you'll realize that what the difference between the first and the second is that you notice that in the second one, at no time do you see the turtles actually using their weapons,
Hmm.
right?
Interesting.
Well,
Yeah. So
So speaking of the second one, I have
huh?
it in. I want to talk about the second one. We'll watch it at some point. But one of the guys who was Donatello in the second and third one, I want to get him on the podcast. I want to get him on the show.
Oh,
Um,
you're talking about wait, the guy in the suit?
guy in the suit, Stephen Ho. Stephen Ho.
Oh, Stephen Ho, cool. I thought you were talking about Ernie Reyes Jr.
No, 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 no.
Because even though Ernie Reyes Jr. he was in the second one, appeared like more in his like
Mhm.
self, but he was actually the stunt double for Donatello in the first.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
all right, so this movie, as we'll finish off, and then we'll time it real quick.
okay.
We'll just pretty much talk through at about like 30 seconds left. I'll just stop.
mm,
I'll do like a quiet stop, and I'll edit that out. I won't say like, "Oh, we'll be right back." I'll put it in post production. It'll be just like a straight through episode.
Just
We
give
won't
us a
even
hand signal.
exactly something
And
like
and we
that.
can see the time. We can see the time right there as well.
Exactly,
So
that's
we'll
what I'm
keep
saying.
track
When it
of it.
gets to about 30 seconds or so, we'll just stop and then
Okay.
push to it in a meeting. Okay, time in.
Yeah.
So, like we said, this movie came out March 30th, 1990, like directed by Steve Barron, based off the comic and the '87 TV series, starring. Now I'm reading this. Judith, I think Hogue as April O'Neil, Elias Kostias as Casey Jones, James Saito as Rokusaki, aka the Shredder. David McCarran did the voice. Um, now, I
I am your master.
now did you? I got some
All
serious.
my family.
I got some
no.
serious Vader vibes, right, from that helmet
Yeah.
and the voice. Like he even mentioned, "I am
But
your
right,
father."
he's like, we are here to finish them. Right?
Just following a formula, I bet.
These
Kind of going off of what works for somebody else.
Big helmet.
Star Wars.
turtles. Right? That's how he sounds the entire movie.
Okay, and I took notes
Right.
throughout this whole movie. I'm actually impressed of how good the turtles costumes look today.
And we all thought that too.
Jim Henson.
Jim Henson, dude. Jim Henson, of course, he gave us the Muppets. And, you know.
Let me measure your crotch one more time. Like, Jim, we got it. Like, just a few more times.
Yeah, he gave us the Muppets. But also, motherfucker was in charge of Labyrinth, right? And he did a lot of stuff with puppeteers. Labyrinth, the Dark Crystal. So many awesome just stuff. I think
he also did Team America.
I think Jim Henson even did the puppet stuff or I don't know, something. Was he to the witches or something? Remember that one? He may have done something with that one as well, or was it Stan Winston? I don't know, one of those. But anyway, Jim Henson, genius back in the day.
Yeah, they did a really good job of making it look realistic because you could have made it like animatronic, or like you had, like you said, Alex, you mentioned Star Wars was a huge hit, and they had 2 movies, maybe 3. Were all 3 movies before 1990?
Which one?
Star Wars? When was Empire?
Oh yeah, it was before. Yeah, it was way before.
So
yeah.
you had.
I think it was like 83 was like the last one.
Okay, yeah. So you had all 3 movies before 19. Yeah, you're right. Obviously, before 1990, and so you had that. Like, you can base your success off that. What works, what doesn't, and these costumes were pretty. They look pretty good. One thing I did notice is Casey Jones looks like a drunk Elliot Stabler from Law and Order SV.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Time.
Because Elias is Elias or Elias Koteas? Elias.
Oh, Elias. I think it's
Elias Koteas.
I think it's Elias.
Right, which is what, like Greek or something. But anyway, Elias Koteas, older Elias Koteas. I have seen him in other movies, and then I thought he was what's his face from Law and Order. Very similar features and all that. By the way, Elias Koteas, dude, motherfucker, did not age well, man.
No, he looks like. He also gave you like the outfit of Nick Cage in Con Air. Like, he has that same outfit.
Ooh, what are you, a punker? I don't like punkers.
Yeah, the movie starts off with like April O'Neil getting mugged, right?
Yeah,
and then Raphael the turtles save her, and then Raphael loses his sai.
I lost his sai, but I can get it back. I can get it back.
So what struck me the most about this whole movie is that he said "damn" in the movie 2 times early, and I was just like, "This movie is awesome." As a kid,
yeah,
I was like, because that's a word I couldn't really say as a kid. You go into a movie theater and not just like you said, dark tone. You got Raphael saying "damn" like after losing a sign in New York City. So, and then when he goes out the next day, like, how does nobody notice this dude is a fucking turtle?
Right. He's just wearing like a trench coat and a hat, right?
Like, and he's walking barefoot.
Jones takes it pretty well. It's like, oh, okay, I'm fighting a freak. It's like, all right, well, let's keep fighting you.
Yeah.
He just rolls with it.
Like, but I guess you got face paint and you got stung by a bee or something. Why are you so swollen?
But going back to the costume, for the time, it was.
He calls him like Roundhead or something.
Roundhead. Oh, and then he hits him. Yes, Manny, the costumes look really good, dude. Like,
really well done.
Really good. Like, and the lighting made it look like they didn't shine too much light on them to make it look super fake. They had the good lighting to make it,
Yeah, I kept trying to catch those glimpses where they always show screenshots of you could catch the actor's face inside the mouth.
Yeah, you can see their teeth.
Yeah.
right? And you can't really notice it a lot when you're watching the movie. You
You
really
have to
have to
pause
like
it. You
be
have
there
to
and like pause it and like really do your thing. But they, for the most part, it was a very dark movie. So they did a you know, like they were able to kind of hide the imperfections and all that. But you know, for its time, man, really well done. Like it really, as a kid, it really made you feel like those things were real,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Later on,
Oh
I
yeah.
think I caught like a retrospective of it or something. They're talking about how heavy all that rubber was. It was
Oh
like
man,
insane to move in
dude,
it,
I
like which
didn't.
was crazy because you see them doing like kung fu in it pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's slow, but they do a good job, and they do a good job of like slowing down some of the moves, like the slow mo hits where they're flying through the air. Like,
Yeah, and they're doing like, you know, their backflips and all that's on in these suits, man,
they
and
do a
it's
good job.
great and all that. And but yeah, it was very, very. You were very convinced that these guys actually existed, and as a kid, you know, you were pulled away from that, and you know, the whole suspension of disbelief. And but yeah, it was a great time because of the costumes.
Let me ask you this: did you guys get the Rocky reference when you were kids, first watching this movie? When Michelangelo was in April's apartment doing the Adrian.
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
impressions. Yeah.
Ooh, you dirty rat! You killed my brother. Ooh, that must be Spencer's favorite. And
That was a joke. Yeah, so those are just some of the things I had. But so um, they rescue April, and now the Foot is after April, right?
mhm.
So
That's still a bitching name.
yeah, oh,
The
the Foot.
Foot, which is, by the way, based in reality, because there really is an organization out there. It's called the Black Hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they based it like the Foot. You know, they basically kind of done it, but it was the Black Hand. And
And they're Russian too.
Yep,
It's
and
also Russian.
so like April's trying to she's trying to uncover this. Well, the Foot is stealing. There's like a crime spree in New York, and she's saying that the Foot is doing this. They're behind it. She goes to the police chief, and by the way, this police chief is sweaty.
Yeah.
Holy shit, is he sweaty?
well, they make it seem like, I remember the very opening shots of the movie, like it's very grainy and you can see the heat coming off of the asphalt and all that. So you get that sense that like everything's based in like really like muggy weather and all that, you know. So you can tell everybody's running around in swamp ass in New York.
All Seward asked.
Oh yeah. Stewart ass in New York. That is very very true. I was asking, what's it called, before you left with your kid. We saw it recently. Like, what did you think of it when when you saw it recently? Did it like hold up, May?
You know, I recently watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990, and it wasn't, you know, because I know you guys just watched it today, right?
I watched it
Now,
literally today.
today, good.
Yeah.
Finally, you know, you guys had a week.
I think I at least have 10 years in between last times I've seen
Yeah.
this again.
Anyway, I saw it
At
about 2
least.
weeks ago. I'm going to say maybe, I think it was like the first week that California officially had the safer at home order. A
What's
friend
that?
of mine, it's that thing that made people stay home. But a friend of mine, she hosted one of those Netflix party things.
Oh
You
yeah,
know
I
what I'm
heard
talking
about that.
about,
I heard about that.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So she sent me a link, and she invited me to this thing, and so I watched it. It was that same week that, you know, safer at home. So I watched it that Friday, and it was, you know, I think, even though the movie's exactly as I remember it from like years prior, there's like nothing, my reaction to it does not change. It's like I've been pretty consistent about like how I feel about the movie for like the last, you know, 25 plus years or whatever.
The only difference is a
Anyway,
beard.
yeah, so then I feel exactly the same about it. You know, it holds up and all that, and but the only thing that's changed, of course, is um how dated it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason it's dated is because, you know, like, you know, the wardrobe choices and the music, right?
Music,
But that's
huge
pretty much
choice.
it. And then
References. Yeah.
yeah, you get the references, and Sam Rockwell, he's on
Damn it,
there.
that was one of my trivia questions.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
How?
yeah.
But to be
So
honest, like
Sam,
he was front and center in that. With the second half of the movie, he was in it like at least
yeah,
20 minutes.
right. So he's in that, and you know, and one of the things that kind of
Regular menthol.
one of the things that really made me feel like it's dated is like, you know, one point the turtles are watching TV, and I think it's like Sally Jesse Raphael or something is on there, or there's something watching like daytime TV, and I'm just like, oh my god, like that's how long ago that thing was, you know. But
Crime is still happening in New
yeah,
York, so good stuff, New York. That hasn't changed.
yeah, you know, back then they had the Foot Clan, now they have coronavirus. But they you know, I what was it? The fact that I watched it after years later, and I watched it during the Netflix party, but I'm watching it with a group of people. So like Netflix party, what it is, like, you know, part of the screen is the movie, and another strip over here at the edge over here is like everybody's comments, right? Everybody's typing, kind of like remember those group chat things that we used to, like, you know, chat rooms that we used to do, like that. So it's
ASL.
like yeah, so everybody's talking about, like, you know, what the reactions to it is in real time. So it was very, I think the fact that it was very communal, it kind of added to it. It added to the experience, and it was like a shared nostalgia and a shared love for that movie. So I think, you know, it's unfortunate. I think we should have watched it that way, honestly. Kind
No,
of like our own version of Mystery Science Theater.
I enjoyed
Yeah.
it.
It should
I mean,
be kind of like this, like what we kind of have right here, this view, reversed maybe. Maybe
Mhm.
these three boxes are
Yeah.
down below. We're seeing the movie. We're seeing each other, and we're just kind of, you know.
Is there a way? Is there a way to feed a live movie through this thing, like where we're doing this? You
no.
know, kind of we can do kind of like some Mystery Science movie
Oh,
like
I mean,
theater
yeah, I
thing.
can screen share. I mean, that technically, I guess I can play it on my screen and
a
screen share
second,
it.
like a second laptop,
No, I can
Yeah, you
share my
know,
screen.
but
yeah,
But
then also to have you also showing
oh, maybe,
your face as well.
maybe. Um,
so it'd
I
be
don't know.
pretty cool to watch a couple of like old movies like that
I
way.
want that'll
But
be we
anyway,
can.
that, like I'd say, to me, movie still holds up. Definitely holds up. And you know, and I still think, and I still believe that the costumes, their design in this movie, even though their costume design did change from, like, by the time they got to like Secret of the Ooze, and then Turtles in Space or Turtles on Time or something,
Mm-hmm.
because part 3 was like time
Oh,
They go
traveling
Jim,
to
back
like
to
feudal
like feudal
Japan.
Japan. Yeah.
Yeah,
you
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 can
said
tell the
turtles.
design because Turtles in Time or something.
Well, no, it
Or
was
Turtles in Space.
Turtles. Ninja Turtles 3 was about time travel, but Turtles in
Hmm.
Time was a video game.
Oh, okay, I got those confused.
But it's all good.
But yeah, but anyway, their costume, the design changed drastically,
One
and
hundred
you can
percent.
tell, like, yeah, because in the second one, by the time they got to the second one, they wanted to make them look lighter and a lot less threatening, I guess. A lot more family friendly, and you know, that's when you get
This
shit
first one,
like,
they have junk, dude.
yeah,
They have junk.
and then by the time you get to the second one, you get Vanilla Ice, and that's how it goes. But yeah, to me, it still holds up. I would still gladly recommend it to anybody. And and once my kids are older, I cannot wait for them to watch that movie.
Ninja
Rap,
rap.
Oh,
right?
dude, yeah. So we'll save that because that movie is great. So in this one, where we leave off before, so the Foot attack April, the turtles rescue her. The Foot attack April again in the subway. Raphael is there to fight them off. This guy Tatsu knocks her out cold with a right hand. I mean, just like bam, and she's
We
out.
have a message for you. Shut it.
Bye.
So
I always want to do that to
You
somebody
can't
at a
do that
bar. I
anymore.
have a message
nah.
for you. Shut it.
That doesn't fly anymore, man.
No.
Oh, and then Alex, you actually texted in our group. It's like, did I forget to pay my Sony bill?
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty racist. And that's just assuming. That's assuming they're all Asian behind those masks. They're just like orphan white kids.
But what if they work for Sony?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
True.
But
By the
so,
way, what's a Sony bill? When you
so
buy factory direct and you owe them?
I
What,
guess
like,
so.
probably like Columbia House, probably?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
You remember those?
So essentially, Raphael gets followed back to the lair. Once they leave, the Foot goes in there, tear shit up, take Splinter, bounce.
Ate
They
their
come
pizza.
back.
Fungus their
They
pizza.
they come back, go to April's house. The turtles do, and they're like, oh, we're so sad. And April's like, oh, I have some frozen pizza, which is like perfect for them, which is what they need.
And he like goes up the
Oh, I love that. That is great. That's one of my
somebody say pizza.
favorite sound effects in the movie. It's like, yeah, that's oh man.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. Like I said, that kind of goes back to the tone, the uneven tone of the movie.
oh, dude. I mean, well, for example, I wrote down in my notes the scene where Master Tatsu beats the shit out of those kids. Like, what the fuck was that about? I mean, that was just aggression, just like
oh, but
It's
dude,
like, come here, let me throw my dick
Master
around.
Master
That's really what's
Tatsu,
going on.
Master Tatsu, is he not like the way he's portrayed is kind of like borderline racist, don't you think? Go play. Right? Go play. Oh.
such. Oh man. So they go stay at April, and then and she stays above this old store. I forget what it is. That gets burned down.
An antique shop. Yeah,
antique
like
shop.
family owns an antique shop.
So
Or her apartment's above an antique shop. Yeah.
there you go. And in the middle of this, Raphael is wandering, and he meets Casey Jones. And I have questions about Casey Jones. And do you think this is the right time? Do you want to save those for after we talk about the movie, or do you want to just?
I just never understood why we'd want to walk around with a goalie stick. I mean, it's so heavy. It doesn't give anything else. You have much more offense and defense, I think, with an actual regular hockey stick. But we'll get into his bag later.
I think we should save it to the end because I have a couple questions about Casey.
All right. Well,
so
you take that one.
He meets Casey Jones, who's a fan favorite. Everybody kind of loves Casey Jones and what he brings.
Yeah,
to the table.
everybody. I remember the animated version. Casey Jones was great.
I had
he
the
was
action
awesome.
figure.
Of course. But he's life size, right?
Yeah.
No, it was like right here.
No, I know, obviously.
Right here.
So, one thing I wrote is the claustrophobic scene. I thought was pretty funny. Like, and that also made me think of one thing about Casey Jones because he's being claustrophobic, and it's like
he's very homophobic.
Yeah. The homophobic scene, and it's like I don't know if that can really fly today.
Claustrophobic.
Yeah, I know. But then he's like sleeping in his car, and I was like, does he always sleep there? Oh, did I lose you guys?
Yeah,
It's truck, right?
any real character development for Casey Jones, and Casey Jones reappears again in part 3, right?
Yeah. By the way, yes, he does, and I lost you right after I said, "Do you think he sleeps in his car?"
Oh, yeah, because they never really give it. Like I said, they don't give any like character development on him or anything.
Nothing.
He just
Nothing
he's
really.
kind of there.
He's just
right?
there, fully born.
Yeah, and then he reappears again in part 3, but he doesn't really do any fighting in part 3. He's kind of like there. But again, they never really talk about what he does.
No,
and then it wasn't until like that it wasn't like until like the newer versions, like the the ones that Michael Bay produced, that like he's like a cop or like an ex-cop or something like that. But yeah, they never really touch on what the background is.
And like what makes him tick, right?
Yeah, he just shows up at like April's apartment at the perfect time. Obviously it's great to help move the story along.
Well, when he shows up at April's apartment, it's because he's like he happens to be in a top of a building. They're just kind of hanging out, listening to the radio,
and he's up there
and at a distance he sees Raphael. He realizes, oh, that's that guy, right? So at a distance he sees Raphael get
the guy with the swollen green
assaulted
face
by the Foot Clan, right?
Yeah,
and so that's when like
his look on his face is like.
So he shows up for that. So that's how So it wasn't random that he shows up at April's apartment. He saw that happening. Mm-hmm. So then, it was kind of like happenstance that he was there. But yeah.
One character I wanted to talk about who's a real piece of shit.
He always hangs out in roofs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is Danny, the little redheaded.
Oh, that little ginger motherfucker wearing a Sid Vicious t-shirt. The entire time. Yeah, man, I understand why he existed in the movie. He kind of had to like portray like how the Foot Clan was kind of preying on the youth of New York and to recruit them into the Foot Clan. And I kind of get why they did that, but he just came off very just like a typical like fucking little white boy, like I just like shut the fuck up.
Oh yeah.
He's like this little privileged white boy who's like it's just like like that's what irks me. But I can totally see why that character was necessary.
Yeah. I agree.
I'm surprised he didn't have a backwards hat.
And what made me think of him was you should have. What made me think of him was when they were leaving, when April's apartment was burning down. Phone is ringing, and the voice answering machine picks it up. Casey Jones hears that April's been fired, and I wrote down why. Do you remember why she was fired?
Well,
I think it's
it has to do with
influence going through the whole, probably like a underworld connection kind of thing.
Yeah, because for the longest time they kept telling the chief of police was putting pressure on the TV station, on the news station, to stop running that story, right? So she kept going with it. She kept going. Yeah, she kept going with the story. And what it was, and so they fired her for it because she just kind of kept pushing it. However, that's another thing. They never really, I feel like they should have touched up on a little more how like the Foot maybe had to like, was bribing the chief of police or something.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like, well, all they really mentioned was like, well, the chief of police didn't want her telling the story to like keep spreading fear, that sort of thing. But that's all it really was.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they're not gonna get like super deep. After all, it's like technically a kids movie, But it's not like Martin Scorsese's directing this.
No, I get it.
That yellow jumpsuit was missing, though. That's what was missing.
For sure.
Old yellow jumpsuit.
For sure. Because so her apartment...
And one thing that was very, what's funny? Another thing, they did hint like at the very beginning of the movie where she's wearing like a yellow raincoat. But that was pretty much it. One thing that I did notice very, very much so, even as a kid, like the first time watching it, was that in the cartoons, I think she was like, it was like Channel 6 News or Channel 3 or whichever one, either 3 or 6. And then in the movie, it was different. It was like 6 or like vice versa. You know what I mean? But that's one thing that really stood out. I remember from the cartoon to the movie. By the way, did you know that Paige, what was her name? Judith Hogg. By the way, did you know that she was in her early 20s, like 22 or 23 when she made that movie?
She looks young.
Yeah.
She definitely looks young in this movie. But maybe it's crazy because she doesn't look that different now. I think she has like really red hair now when I looked at a picture of her today, but
the last time I saw her and she was in Armageddon. Can you tell me that?
Trying to picture.
Do you remember one of the characters, one of the oil, one of Bruce Willis's crew? I guess he has like an estranged wife and kid, and he goes and tries to say like, "I got something coming up, something big."
Oh, yeah.
She's
okay.
like, "Oh, that's just a stranger." It's like, who is that, mommy? And then at the end of the movie, then they're running to him at the end of the movie. That was her. Yeah, that was her. But anyway,
man, put faces on people now.
And they, what's it called? They changed the actress for into part 2 for Paige Turkle or something like that.
Yeah, they definitely did. But anyways, so they would go to April's. This is where the movie takes a weird turn. They go to April's farm, or like where is it? I'm trying to figure out where it is.
Somewhere like it's supposed to be like upstate New York.
Yeah, like upstate.
But even though it's like it's clearly like Georgia
it's
or
obviously
something.
A B&B that it's a little B&B that Casey Jones is running because he's in there just giving.
So that's what he does. That's what he does. Oh yeah. And to a girl clearly in a shirt with no bra on. But
I said, sit down and let me massage you.
Yeah,
Rough
dude. Yeah,
shit.
he basically kind of assaulted her, right?
Yeah.
a little bit.
Um,
So, and Raphael's healing this whole time, and the turtles kind of get back together. Then they say it's time to go back to the city. And by the way, I don't know how long they were there, but this engine had a big fucking crack in the block. They apparently were good to go when the turtles said they're good to go. So they're
Just
just like,
laid some. Remember that? Remember that?
well, no. Wait, but
that
when they
Mr.
arrived
Miyagi
at
made.
wait, hold on. When they
Pour that
arrived at
in.
the farm, they were in like that Volkswagen like that bus, right? And I think that's the one that the engine cracked. Because when they came back into the city, they were in some old truck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's
Just
that.
robbed somebody. Okay.
Yeah. So there's that. I think it was like the old truck that was in the farm or something like
yeah,
that.
screw it. Who cares?
But before they went back into the city, they kind of had a very much this thing where they were all gathered around and they were meditating, and all of a sudden they had like a séance, and Splinter appeared to them,
Mhm.
in a very much in the same way that like a Jedi after he dies he appears and he has that blue glow to them.
Except he wasn't dead.
So and then I realized, yeah, he was like projecting, right? And then I realized, I'm like, holy shit! I realized this, and I realized this watching it like a couple of weeks ago. I think I'm like, Splinter's a motherfucking Jedi.
It could be. I mean, he's literally a rat who, and then this next part of the movie actually goes to the origin of Splinter and why he.
How about those kung fu mouse moves? With the,
Dude, I mean, like that's probably
the rat moves. I'm
this
sorry.
is probably the most like '80s, late '80s, early '90s part of the whole movie. It's
I'm surprised he didn't have ankle warmers on when he was doing that kung fu shit.
the montage of Splinter talking with the black background. Like it's crazy. But they talk about that, talk about the Ninja Turtles in the background. That part is pretty funny. And then pretty much it comes to where the Turtles fight Shredder on a rooftop, and then he kicks their ass, and then he tries, and then Splinter reminds Shredder of, hey, I'm that rat that scratched your face.
And he goes like this. And then Shredder reveals his face.
He takes his mask off, which is totally not recommended in 2020, by the way. Like, I don't know what Shredder is doing. He has that whole getup and he's taking his mask off in the middle of a pandemic. What's wrong with him?
And just tucks it under his chin. Like, you're not supposed to do that.
Not at all. Touch his face. He's like clearly touching his face. And he's outside. I mean, but so Splinter does a quick little move with Michelangelo's
Nunchucks.
whippy thing. Yeah,
Nunchucks.
Whippy thing.
Michelangelo has nunchucks. Raphael has a
What is
sai.
whippy thing?
Leonardo has the katanas, and Donatello has the bowl.
He has the brains. So
hey, we never, even before, like, we're like what, 45 minutes into this episode, we never mentioned their names.
It's part of my quiz. It's part of my
okay.
It's part of my trivia. It's part of my trivia. So Splinter shreds him off the movie. I mean the rooftop. No pun intended when I say shreds.
By the way, is it just me?
Just
But
you.
when Shredder flips over, right? And he's holding, because Shredder was trying to like lunge at him with like the staff with like a spear at the end, right? He was trying to stab the Splinter. Splinter takes out the nunchucks, wraps it around, flips Shredder over, and then Shredder is hanging off the edge of like the top of a building, right? Is it just me, or does it look there's a shot and it looks like Shredder is like fucking gorged, right, with that spear thing, like it's sticking out of his back. Like, you guys,
I would have to go back and check it out.
all right. So if but yeah, that's that. It just looks that way, and to me, even like watching the movie the very first time, it always looked that way. And then I've really tried to analyze the scene a lot, because that's what motherfucking nerds do. And I'm like, well, did he not? I don't know. But you guys, I highly recommend go back to that scene and check out that shot that I'm talking about,
right,
and go from there.
And then he lands in a trash compactor truck.
Yeah.
And then Casey Jones, man of the hour, has no problem clearly trying to murder this dude.
Uh-huh. He
Pressing
goes, oops.
oopsie. So
Yeah, first of all, up until then, like Casey Jones has no real. He'd never really met Shredder, right? Per se, he never dealt with the Shredder, so like, there's no motivation for him to be like, yeah, fuck this guy, and then
and
like
he
do
was
that, right?
clearly beat, so it's like
Yeah.
just
So
arrest him and just
if there had been a scene like early on in the movie where like the Shredder kicks the shit out of Casey Jones or something, like Casey Jones is like angry at that motherfucker, then they would have made sense for him to be like, oops, he does that, right? But again, development, again, that is Casey Jones is the most underdeveloped character in this movie.
that's what I'm saying, because you have questions like, where does he sleep? Number one, how does he make money? Was he like a former pro hockey player?
He
And
has everything in the bag, dude.
why does he have no problem committing a murder?
Yeah, why was he a vigilante? Did his family get taken out by the foot
Right.
in the same way that like
Okay.
the Punisher's family got taken out? I don't know. There needs to be a fucking series about Casey Jones on Netflix, man. There really does.
Interesting.
And they got to call it Casey Jones. That's it. It has to be about him.
All right, so
Starring Nicolas Cage.
quick,
I hate punkers.
quick trivia questions.
All right, let's do this.
Who was the voice of Donatello?
It was Corey Feldman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty obvious, right? I mean, from
Yeah.
the get-go,
Yeah.
that was a huge.
Hey, you guys, well, I don't really want to
He has a very iconic voice.
Yeah.
It's like, dare I say, the voice of the 80s.
Yeah, man, he's one of the Frog Brothers.
Okay, number one, two-part question.
Okay.
Number one, can you guess the budget of this movie?
It was something with a 3.
300,000.
It was something with a 3. Either like 30 million or like 300,000 or something.
Well, I mean, you're
like
already
that.
messing with Jim Henson, so I mean, it's gonna open up. I mean,
Yeah, so is I don't know, for some I'm thinking 3, something 3.
3.8 mil.
$13.5 million.
All right. See, I was thinking 3. It was like something with a 3. I remember like hearing that number.
Do you
Is
know
this
what it
your
made?
card?
Do you know what it made at the box office?
A lot.
They
Give me a
made their money
number.
back.
Just give me a. Yes, they made their money back.
I don't know, $120 million
202.
Okay.
worldwide.
Yeah, not too bad. So we already talked about the turtles were created at the Jim Henson Creature Shop in London. Pretty cool
The costumes.
stuff. Yeah.
Costumes. Yeah.
And the last trivia question, because we kind of talked about some other stuff. What was the club that Casey Jones used to smack Raphael in the park?
Ooh, 9 iron.
I mean,
No?
nope. Not Raphael. When he saw on Tatsu, because when Raphael in the park, he used a flat stick. But when he was fighting Tatsu,
But that was at a goalkeeper or the goalie stick.
yeah. So in one of the final scenes of the movie, when Casey Jones is fighting Tatsu, he finds a golf club when he falls on boxes. What golf club number was that? What kind of club?
I don't golf, so and I don't even watch golf, and I keep betting on it.
Oh, well played. It was a 1. A 1. Very simple
Nice.
stuff. There you
All
go.
right, cool.
And some questions for you guys I wanted to ask.
All right,
Since
let's
we
do
have
it.
probably like 10 minutes left in the show.
All right.
Oh, why not?
If we are doing this in 2020,
Mhm.
let's
Mhm.
recast this movie today. So, and it can, we don't have to do the 2-part because we obviously have technology to make the people look like fucking turtles. And so give me, let's cast the 4 turtles, Splinter, April O'Neil, and Casey Jones, and maybe Splinter, and Shredder. So
Wait, are we pretending the Michael Bay versions don't exist?
Yes, 1000%.
Because fucking
just
terrible.
looking
No,
at this original.
Yeah, but just based off what we know now, and maybe even the other 2 movies, like we are starting fresh with the Ninja Turtles, basing it off this movie, recreating it in 2020.
Okay.
Let's recreate it and recast it.
And I had a better budget.
Yeah, the budget is in the B's for billions.
All right.
You know,
All right.
because
This is good. I wish you had told me this because I really would have
No, I mean
thought
it's
about
a
this.
fantasy project. I mean, who
All
cares?
right.
Well, you know, this
What about,
requires
yeah.
this requires a lot
Well,
of
hey,
thinking.
I wrote it on the Google Doc.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah. Did you get the memo?
He did. Okay, so but
Can I
that's
ask you
why.
about the TPS report?
Fucking TPS. So and so I just want to off the top of your head, like, so let's just have some fun with this. Let's not
all right. Throw me
overthink.
characters and then we'll throw names out there.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
so let's
yeah.
start with Shredder.
Okay.
Now we want to keep Shredder maybe an Asian themed. I
Chow Yun Fat? I don't know. Fucking no, that guy's
Who
too
was
old.
who played Genghis Khan in the those movies? Like, I don't think they finished the trilogy yet, right? There was supposed to be a trilogy off of Genghis Khan. Those movies that were coming out.
My suggestion is to keep it light and have a good time is Randall Park.
It would have to be It would have to be Japanese, I think.
I mean, I don't know if Randall Park is Japanese, but I know he's pretty funny.
Shit. Who would I put in as a? Well, if it didn't have to be Japanese, I would definitely get that one lead
Brandon
actor
just
from
said.
from that one movie, The Raid Redemption.
I don't know who that is.
Oh my god. Word?
Yeah.
That is a movie you boys got to watch. All right.
Maybe the what's his name from Lost? I don't know. I forgot his name, but maybe that would be an option.
Or Glenn from fucking Walking Dead. I don't know. But all right, who else?
Okay, let's do April O'Neil.
Or fucking John Cho. I don't care. We'll move on.
Oh, John Cho. Let's do April O'Neil.
April O'Neil. Oh,
Right now.
Amy Adams.
Okay. Lomeli?
No, that's a good one. I just immediately I thought, like, all right, might as well just go for an actual redhead. I was thinking more of a what's your name, Hendricks.
Christina Hendricks.
Or Christina Hendricks, yeah.
Okay, I mean, it could even be that, or like Scarlett Jo. She's used to having red hair. She's a big character or a big lead. You know, she can carry.
Honestly, if this movie had been made, like, let's say in the late 90s, I would have gone with Téa Leoni.
Téa Leoni. Yeah,
I would have gone with her.
Yep, but too bad this is now like 20 years after that, man.
Yeah. But you know, I think Téa Leoni would have been a great April O'Neil.
Okay, fair enough.
All
I mean, you know who'd be a good April O'Neil in? If she was
Emma Stone as well.
You know, that's a really good choice, actually.
Mm.
Emma Stone would be a good one. All right, let's do.
She could do that spunky reporter thing.
All right.
Yeah.
Who would be a good Splinter, like a good voice for Splinter?
Well, not Tony Shalhoub like he was in the new ones.
Oh, really? Oh my god.
That was Tony Shalhoub, yeah.
Monk.
Splinter.
Well, the thing is, Splinter's not a real. It would have to be an actor making that accent anyway, right? So it could pretty much be anybody.
Just a voice actor, anyways.
So
yeah, just any voice
one
actor.
of those guys
you
that
want
has,
kind of like
really
a
deep.
exactly deep, knowledgeable sounding voice.
That just sounds very wise.
Obviously, Edward James Olmos. I mean,
That would be really.
Right.
Can you imagine as Splinter, Edward James Olmos?
how could I get to these turtles?
I like that one. Okay, so we'll cast Edward James Olmos as.
All right, Casey Jones.
Okay, Casey Jones.
I got two. Depends if you want to go all big guy or just kind of.
Ooh, okay. What you got?
thing.
What you got?
So I got Pratt, or I got what's his name?
Hemsworth.
No. Pass right now. Come back to me. I'm trying to remember his name now.
Manny, who you got?
Honestly, Chris Pratt, the personality, I think would be great for, like, you know, that comic kind of responses, that witty kind of feel for it. But as far as look, it has to be kind of somebody, maybe not too bulky, you know. I think it has to be somebody lean. Definitely, I would say if I'm going to do character development, ex-hockey player, definitely. So somebody who's maybe like 6'2", and built like he's kind of lean, but at the same time he'll be like fucking body
Yeah,
check somebody
I
hardcore.
think Pratt is a perfect choice, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that's like top notch, Alex. So nice job.
Mhm.
Like if he was younger, I would say Tom Hardy.
Yeah, getting up there in age, crazy enough. Are we good with almost at for Splinter?
Sure.
Manny?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Be like, orale, turtles. Back when I used to train with my master on the bean fields.
Take a seat. Take a seat.
Get out of the gutter.
No, and then Michelangelo starts acting up and be like, how do I reach these kids?
All right, let's go with the four turtles.
Master Splinter, how do we learn to fight them with calculus?
All right, let's go. Rapid fire, the four turtles. Let's go, Donatello.
Donatello?
Right.
Again, voice actors, but jeez.
We want somebody smart here, right?
Fuck, I don't know.
Let's
the guy from Modern
Donatello.
Family.
I think Donatello maybe like what's his name? Dude, I'm going blank on all these people's names, but the face just comes out right away.
is it Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Not at all. No. Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Okay, all right.
So we're casting Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Actually, Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Casey Jones, if he buffed up a little bit.
No, I still think Chris Pratt because he's tall and hockey players are big. They're big dudes, and
yeah.
I think keeping Gordon-Levitt to a voice is good here. So Michelangelo, I feel like it should be somebody goofy. So I was either thinking Donald Glover because he's super goofy, or oh man, yeah, it's hard to think of all these actors' names on the top of their heads.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else for Michelangelo in the 4 minutes that we have left in this meeting time?
We're gonna have to just.
I don't know, fucking Tom Holland.
Yeah, right. He's been in everything.
Yeah, Tom Holland.
How about Zach? How about Zach Braff?
Okay, all right. While when he's not boning Florence Pugh, all right. Son of a bitch, I hate him right now. Well, I hate him because I'm hating on him because he's boning Florence Pugh. But
who's the angsty one then? Who's gonna be Raphael?
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson.
Snoop Dogg.
And by the way, why did it have to be like as far as the original one, like total like kind of Guido guy? Like he's so like different than any of the other turtles as far as like
so angry, just angry.
Yeah, and then
I thought I was watching Renaissance Man. Honestly.
Yeah, and if they're like from New York, then how the hell do they have like the surfer vibe to them, like Cowabunga and all that?
I've always liked Cowabunga. So
Farajaka?
So who's playing
Raphael?
Who's playing Raphael? Who's playing Raphael? Somebody he needs to be like. Are we doing angry Raphael to keep up with the theme of this movie?
Oh, what about what's his name from Mr. Robot? Malcolm, no Malcolm, Malik or. Oh,
you're talking Rami Malek. Perfect. Yeah. Let's do it. He's kind of monotone, and or we can do.
He'd be angsty.
I'm gonna take a.
Not be so.
What about Michael Rappaport? If you want angry.
Too old, like the voice would be too. Yeah.
Hey, where's my fucking pizza? Where's my fucking pizza? Oh, you fucking fuck you.
Oh, okay, sure, guys. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
sure.
all right, cool. Let me tell you something. Fuck you.
So I think we're casting him. Sorry, Alex. All right.
Anyway,
the leader.
Yeah.
Leonardo.
Yeah, it's gonna be Leonardo DiCaprio, right? We can't cast another Leonardo. That's bullshit. Leonardo. Yeah, that's bullshit.
Can't get it just on the namesake.
And he has to be from Leonardo, New Jersey. Okay,
give me a Leonardo then.
A Leonardo.
Just to end it. All right. You know what? I don't know about Leonardo, but I do have a good Splinter. Michael Keaton.
Mm-hmm. Over Edward James Olmos?
Yes. Anyway, guys,
Why not?
look, I think we have about a minute left.
Yeah. So Manny, tell
and all
people
that.
where they can find us.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you, Alex, for joining us once
Yeah,
again.
man.
Next week, I think we're going to pick another movie to do and go from there. We'll be in touch. You can find us on the nerdlot.com. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, wherever the fuck, anywhere on at the Nerdlot. And, you can listen to our podcast on Stitcher, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, TuneIn Radio, all that
Spotify.
stuff. All right, guys. My name is Manny,
My name is Brandon.
and you are?
Alex Lomeli.
And together we are
The Nerdlot.
Nerdlot.
All right, guys. Peace out. Till next time.
Peace out, guys.
Later.
Nice work. Later on.